So the next subtopic under the chapter aggregate demand and its components is saving function. Now what is saving function? It's a functional relationship between saving, that is S, and income, that is Y. Now as we have already seen the relationship between C and Y, similarly now we are going to see the relationship of S and Y. Now here one thing is there, children, that income is either consumed or saved. Means saving or consumption is a part of an income. So income could either be consumed or either it could be saved. Now let's see the behavior of S with respect to Y. Now when we talk about behavior of S with respect to Y, for this there is a schedule, if you all can see, I have drawn over here, and a diagram related to it, where I have also shown you now consumption also and saving also. In that schedule, if you see, we have a Y, which is an income which increases from 0 to 50 to 100 and to 150, where we had a consumption of 20 to 60, 100 to 140. And if we see the saving part, saving is a part of an income. So if your consumption is 20, when your income is 0, your saving goes in negative, that is minus 20. Then again when your income is 50 and your consumption is 60, your saving is again in negative, that is minus 10. When your income was 100 and at the same time your consumption was also 100, so your saving is 0. When your income increased to 150, from that the consumption was 140, so your saving was plus 10. Now to come on the diagram side, children, if you see here in the diagram, on the x-axis we have taken income and on the y-axis we have taken the saving, that is S. Now if you see, we have seen that when y is 0 and C is 20, right? When income was 0, consumption was 20, which is known as autonomous consumption, then your saving must be minus 20, as you all know that C plus S equals to Y. So if C is plus 20 and saving is minus 20, it comes to 0. So income comes to 0. Next thing, if you see, as S increases, as Y increases, shows that S is positively related to Y. That means as S is increasing, at the same time Y is also increasing. That means S and Y has a positive relationship, right? Now at the same time, if you see, S always remain lower than Y. Why? Because S is only a part of Y. If you see, S is increasing with plus 20, whereas Y increase from 100 to 150. Difference of 50. Now this happens why? Because S is only a part of Y. Then if you see in the diagram, S line starts from minus 20. Can you all see on the Y axis? S line is starting from minus 20 because when income was 0, then saving was minus 20, which indicates the value of S when Y is 0. Now the S line is positively sloped upward, showing a very positive relationship with Y. This shows, children, that as S line crosses x-axis, when Y is 0, it shows what? That S is 0 when Y is 100. Can you all see? When Y is 100, S is 0. That means S is negative when Y was less than 100 and S was positive when Y was more than 100. So children, this S and Y shows a relationship between saving and income at the time when a part of it is being also used for the purpose of consumption. Well, in this session we'll continue with the saving function, and today we are going to discuss about the estimation of marginal propensity to save and average propensity to save. Well students, you all can see on your screen, there you all can see a diagram showing the saving function, where in this diagram on the x-axis we have taken income and on the y-axis we have saving. Now you all can see a S line, which is a slope of S line going upward. Now this S line, it refers to the rate at which S is increasing in response to a given increase in Y. That means this line is showing that how the saving increases in response to the income. Now this indicates the additional income that goes to the saving, and this additional income could be measured as the ratio between additional saving and additional income, or you can say delta saving and delta income, that is delta S and delta Y, which is called marginal propensity to save, that is MPS. Now children, let's see how we can estimate the MPS with the help of a given diagram. The diagram shows when Y increases, if you all can see, when Y increases from 100 to 150, then your delta Y equals to 50. That means 150 minus 100, that comes to 50. And when S increases from 0 to 10, then the delta S equals to 10. So children, the formula for MPS is delta S upon delta Y. That comes to 10 upon 50, and we come towards 0.2. Now, this shows that out of every additional rupee of income, 20% is saved. That means whatever income a person earns, from that 20% is being saved. And children, if you all remember, under consumption function, which we did in our previous videos, where we saw that with every additional income, 80% of it was consumed. That is, 80% is spent as consumption expenditure, and that goes towards the 80% plus 20%. 80% was consumed, that was an expenditure done, and 20% is being saved. So if you see, average propensity to save and marginal propensity to save, they are different concepts, even when both of them indicate the ratio between saving and income. Children, average propensity to save, that is APS, is the ratio between total saving and total income, whereas MPS is the ratio between additional saving and additional income. So the formula for APS equals to S upon Y. So our total S was how much? 10, and our total Y was 150. So 10 upon 150, if you all can see on your screen, that comes to 0.067. So where MPS shows saving per unit of additional income, APS is showing saving per unit of total income. Well children, you have to remember one thing, that under S function or saving function, a straight line has a constant slope, implying that MPS must be constant corresponding to all level of income. That means that S function is called a linear saving function, as it suggests that every time when there is a rise in Y, a constant proportion of it is converted into S. That is, saving function is linear, and MPS, if you remember, we did in the previous video, was 0.2. That means that every time there is a rise in income, 20% of it is saved. Now children, this could be proved algebraically also. If you all can see on your screen, we have a algebraic equation for S function or saving function, which goes like this: S equals to minus C bar plus 1 minus BY. Now over here, minus C bar indicates value of minimum saving. That is the minimum saving. If you remember, we went for the minimum saving which we saw over there in the previous video when we were doing saving function. That was minus 20. Then our Y over here indicates income, and 1 minus B, it indicates 1 minus B indicates MPS. Why MPS? Because MPC plus MPS. MPC is marginal propensity to consume and MPS is marginal propensity to save equals to 1. Now how? Actually, if you all remember when we did the consumption function where MPC was 0.8, and in a previous lecture where I have told you that MPS comes to 0.2. So when we add 0.8 and 0.2, it comes to 1, and that is why we said MPC plus MPS equals to 1. So in the algebraic equation, to come on MPS, you have to do what? 1 minus B. B over here is what? MPC. Therefore, S function can be derived from C function. That is, if you all can see on your screen, C equals to our minimum C, that was consumption, was 20 plus our MPC was 0.8. So from this function, from this C function, we can derive the S function. See, S equals to, the formula goes minus C bar. So minus C bar is a minimum saving, and our minimum saving was minus 20 plus 1 minus B. 1 minus B, if we talk about BY, that means what you are supposed to do? 1 minus, that means 0.8, that was your consumption. So S equals to minus 20 plus 0.2Y. So where minus 20 is the value of S when Y was 0 and C was 20, and 0.2Y is a value of MPS when MPC is 0.8.